Welcome back to Photography 101. This is the section number 2 where we're going to look at composition using classical paintings. At the end, you'll get to do some activities to apply these things to your own photographs to help you improve your photography. For composition, one of the first things that many people learn is the rule of thirds. So you can see there in the first one, the classic fog warning, the third lines break the image up. See the horizon right there on the top third. You see where the lines of the thirds intersect, there's points of interest. So our man rowing is right there on the top third, and then the fish's tail there on the bottom third at the intersection of those lines. When you compose your photographs, you're going to picture those third lines and put points of interest on the intersections of the lines, and then those nice strong diagonal and vertical elements in each of the thirds. Another way to think about the rule of thirds is using the golden ratio. Over here we see the Mona Lisa with that spiral made up of the golden ratio, which kind of falls into the rule of thirds as well, and each portion is 2/3 of the largest section. So you can see it going around, creating that lovely composition. As the photographer, you're creating the field of view for your audience. Here on this, we see how cropping affects the strength of the image. In the lower corner here, you can see the original image had considerably more space and different elements in it, and then the final image as it was published is much tighter and really increases the impact of the view. When you're looking through your viewfinder, you get to choose what is included and excluded from your image to tell the story that you want with your image. And then in your post-production, you can also do additional cropping, as you can see here, to really increase the impact of your image. Another way you get to choose your field of view is from your perspective or eye line. In the examples here, you can see by doing a low perspective and looking up at the subject of Napoleon there, you're forcing the viewers to literally look up to him. It makes the subject seem much larger and more powerful versus the one of the child here, where the artist is looking down on the subject and making them seem small. There are several different facets of composition that I've grouped here under visual path. So the visual path is the path that your eyes follow as you look at an image and kind of read it. So some of these things are the focal points. So like that bright area of the molten metal there is a good example of a focal point. Leading lines, which are those girders that go across the image that lead your eye around the composition. Movement, such as the men there as they're swinging that large crucible of molten metal, the repetition of those joists in the ceiling, and then the negative space there on the floor and in that part of the back of the room. You can see here how each of those things comes together. The red of the movement is, again, that rule of thirds and that golden ratio. You've got those focal points, those brighter areas that your eyes are naturally drawn to. The repetition there in the ceiling, and then the repetition of the shapes of the men there in the back of the image as well. Then you've got the negative space that gives the eye a place to rest, that doesn't have much detail there on the floor and in the shadows behind the crucible. All right, now that you've looked at those, we're going to grab some of your own images and apply these things in our composition practice. Now that we've looked at composition using classical paintings, we're going to apply these same things to your photography to help you improve your composition.